right, so enough of that crap. Let's move on to some deals. Let's talk some more about some real estate on my side. All right. So 2011 ended pretty shitty, and 2012 was also pretty shitty. I don't think, the only thing that we really did in 2012 is that little yellow house that we bought on the creek. We put a new kitchen in it, and so that was a little flip project, but then my brother moved into it when he graduated school. And I don't think we really bought anything else and flipped anything else in 12. 12 was kind of a just grit your teeth and get through it kind of deal. But then in 13, we got back into the real estate. And in 13, let's see, I think it was the end of 13. Okay, so, no, it had to be in the summer of 13. Okay, so at the end of 12, it was almost a year exactly, okay? At the end of 12, I went to auctioneering school. In the beginning of 12, in March of 12, I met Jason, and we started dating. And one thing he asked me is that if you could do anything in your life, in the world, because I was kind of frustrated with the family business in 2012, and just kind of depressed, honestly, about my papa, and things weren't going as great as I thought they were, and Jason had this nice, exciting life in downtown Atlanta and all this fancy stuff, and, it was kind of shiny object syndrome. But we were dating long distance. I was in Knoxville and he was in Atlanta. And he asked me on the phone one night, he was like, if you're frustrated with the family company, then what, if you could do anything with your life and you didn't have this family company that you felt like you needed to go work for, what would you do with your life? Like, what would you be? When you grow up, if you could be anything you wanted to be, what would you be? And I said, I would be a real estate auctioneer. In 2011, I got my license. In August of 2011, I got my real estate license, went to school. January of 12, I got the license in the mail. And in July of 12, I signed up and went to auctioneering school because he asked me, if you could do anything in the world, what would you do? And I said, I'd be a real estate auctioneer because I just have these great memories of real estate auctions with my family. And I just thought it'd be awesome to work and make money from it too. So I went to auctioneering school. And at auctioneering school, learned a lot. It was cool, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then towards the end of 12, so when you get a real estate license, when you get an auctioneer's license, you have to work under a broker, you have to work under an auctioneer. And in Tennessee, you have to work under a broker for 3 years for your real estate license before you can become your own broker. And you have to work under an auctioneer for 2 years. So I did it the right way, okay? I'd already been working with a broker who also had an auction company. So then I signed up under them for my auction license as well. So I had to serve so much time and work at so many auctions so I could get a full auctioneer's license. So I tried to only go and, serve my time at the real estate auctions because I loved real estate auctions and that's what I wanted to do. So in December of 12, I was working at an auction. It was a foreclosure auction and I'd never been to one of those before. But we had like 90 properties, and they were all across East Tennessee. And it was mostly that one small local community bank had wrote a bunch of mortgages on land, mostly raw land, and like 85 of the lots came from them. There was like 5 random lots in this auction. So most of it was a foreclosure auction from this one bank. So what happened was, I'm sitting there and I'm working the auction and I'm clerking, I'm keeping the books, and I'm writing out all these tickets, and people are buying these lots for like $500, maybe $1,000. I think the most expensive one I'd seen go through was like $5,000, and I was like, hold up, wait a minute. You're telling me I could spend maybe $1,000 here today and be a real estate investor? And I kind of said that out loud to my broker who was clerking with me, and she was like, yeah, exactly. If you got $1,000, you could buy something today, and you'd buy some land and be a real estate investor. And I was like, well, what number are we on? What county are we in? And we had everything alphabetical by the counties, okay? So we'd gone all the way through the A's, all the way through the C's. We were up to the M counties, and we were in McMinn County. And I didn't know where McMinn County was. But it had to be in East Tennessee. How bad could it be, right? So one of the other apprentice auctioneers There was like 8 lots in McMinn County, and I saw him bidding, and he was bidding and bidding, and he was buying lot after lot after lot. So I ran over to him and I was like, "What is the deal? What are you buying?" And he said, "Bid on the next lot." And I was like, "Bid on the next lot?" And he was like, "Bid on the next lot that comes up." And I was like, "Okay." So the next lot comes up, and it has the description of it. It's got a picture of it, and the auctioneer, Kenny, he was like, "All right, who wants to start me off? Who wants to make a bid? Who's got, $800?" And I was like, "I do." And he was like, "Whitney's in. Who's got $900? $900. Somebody else bid $900. Now $1,000. Whitney, $1,000. You want $1,000 in this?" And I was like, "Okay." And he was like, "Now we're at 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody? Sold. $1,000. Whitney Nicely." And I was like, "What did I buy? Where is Decatur? How much land did I get? How much do I have to pay?" I didn't bring my checkbook, y'all. Like, I was completely unprepared to be buying real estate. And I turned around to Missy, my broker, and I was like, "I really don't have my checkbook. I can't pay you today. Like, I'm good for the money, but I don't have any money with me. Like, and where is Decatur? And what did I buy? How much did I get? What did I actually spend?" Blacked out for a second. And they all got a kick out of it, and it was fine or whatever. So I ended up, after I paid the auctioneering fee, after I paid my closing costs, my attorney, everything, I think I spent like $1,200 on this lesson in life. So that was my very first one. It was December of 12, and since it was a cash closing, we closed later that week. And when I got, since we were doing so many closings, they were just doing the closings at the auction company, Powell Auction and Realty. And since, all of them were there, then you just kind of signed up for a time and went and gave the money and signed your paper and you were done. So when it was my turn to go in and sign my paperwork, I looked and some of the paperwork said something about $69,000, and I was like, "Hold on, we have a problem. I didn't pay $69,000. I only wanted to pay like $1,200. And the banker was there, and he was like, "No, the person that had it before you and had the mortgage on it, they paid $69,000. And I was like, somebody signed their name to a $69,000 mortgage, and I just gave $1,200 for it? I was like, how much can I sell it for then? And he was like, "I don't know. Everybody here the other day gave $1,200 per lot. So whatever you want to do." And, I was still pretty excited, though, because I've got $1,200 invested in something. Once, like a year later, once I figured out what I was doing, I looked up all the other properties. I actually sent a yellow letter campaign to all of the people that own the property around me, and they all called back, and they were like, "Yeah, you can buy our lot. We paid $69,000 for it. How much will you give us?" And I was like, $1,200, and they were like, "Ha!" So, needless to say, I only have one lot in that subdivision, but it's really cool. After the auction, after I, figured out that I was really going to buy this thing, I placed my bid and I was going to be buying, I hopped straight in the car, and I ran down 75. I plugged my address, my parcel ID number, because I didn't even have an address. I plugged it into my phone and went straight to Decatur, Tennessee. And Decatur, Tennessee is this beautiful little East Tennessee town, and the subdivision is kind of off a little curvy road, and there's where my subdivision is, it's my subdivision, by the way. Now, I have one lot in there. It's on the right side of the road. There's another failed subdivision on the left side of the road, and I found out that we had lots in both subdivisions, but I ended up being on the one on the right side of the road, which is very important because it's the subdivision that has the river access in the back of the subdivision. And my lot was like lot number 12 or lot number 13, I can't remember. And it was one of the first 20 that sold. And the first 20 lots that sold in this subdivision, when they originally sold in 06 or 07, they got a deeded boat slip. So we've got our own little marina in this subdivision, and I am slip number 12. I think I'm number 12. So anytime I want to go build, or anytime I sell this lot, it comes with a deeded, dedicated boat slip with it. And this subdivision is awesome. It's got, all paved roads, all sidewalks, all underground utilities. There's this big, huge, fancy wrought iron gate out front, this stonework, nice, fancy landscaping. And my lot is actually off the main road. And I have a private gate to my lot. So I don't even have to drive up in the subdivision. I can just come straight off the main road, boom, into my lot. Beautiful. 1.07 acres of Tennessee land, all mine, all in, all done. That was my very first buying experience. I had no research. I had no due diligence. I had no clue where this land was. I had no comps. I had nothing to go on. I was straight just throwing money at the dartboard and seeing what stuck, and I ended up hitting a bullseye. Thinking back on it now, Mom and Dad and Jason and Tyler and everybody should have been at that auction, and we should have bought everything. We could have owned half the subdivision. But we didn't, and you don't know what you don't know, right? So that was my first guessing game at real estate.